Join me for a discussion with the CEO of Ververica, Alexander Walden, to discuss real-time streaming analytics. I want to welcome today, we have Alexander Walden, the CEO of Ververica, and we're just going to go through a little bit of your history in technology, a little bit of the history of Flink, some details on Ververica. So I think to start out, let's get a little bit to know more about you. We'll get into the details of stream processing a little bit later, but how did you get into the technology field? What was the field like when you started? What information do you want our viewers to know about you before we dive into more details?
I guess I'm one of those guys that doesn't have a straight-lined CV. So initially, after finishing high school, I went to uni studying law. I kind of realized that's not for me, that's changing personality. Then I really liked IT and business, but yeah, it was the first .com boom. I got myself a server, plugged it in some rack, started hosting websites, and thought nobody needs a uni degree. Then a couple of years later, did go back to uni, did really discover my favor for anything IT and tourism, and then started actually working back in those days, we called it data warehousing, business intelligence type topics. Kind of thought that was boring after a while and changed into virtualization. And that then became cloud. And then somehow after cloud became boring, I came back to stream processing, which is kind of data warehousing or business intelligence or somehow data related. So it's been a bit all over the place. And I think it's just because I'm generally interested in anything kind of new. If you would sell me a horse and a carriage, I would probably look for where that is new, because it could be new, even though it's old. But I kind of like this innovative area of things to play and work in. And if it's too established or if it's too large, I generally get a bit bored. So yeah, to answer your question in a TLDR way, I guess anything that's kind of cool, innovative, and requires transformation or change, I think that is where I'm keen in working and spending my time in.
So are there any fields that you kind of saw ahead of time that this was going to be a big one and you were like, I want to get into that? We'll get into stream processing in particular first. So you mentioned so many jumps there. Is there something where you were like, I saw that and I knew that was the one, or even you thought, I saw that, I thought it was going to be big and it completely fell flat?
I saw one thing but didn't finish it. That was the mid-2000s. I wanted to do a PhD on business intelligence governance. And my professor looked at me like, WTF are you talking about? In hindsight, I should have done it because maybe that could have put me to some Harvard uni, whatever respective position. But let me put it this way. There used to be a German politician saying that if I have a vision, you should see a doctor. But by that, I mean, certain things repeat. And I do have a fair share of sort of experience now in cloud and virtualization and all of that. And also being as old as I am, you've seen a few things happening on this planet, like, I don't know, the war of Betamax versus VHS, and then Netflix won. I've once worked at VMware and we're fighting Hyper-V, and now who really cares about what hypervisor is underneath it? So, certain things tend to repeat at different times for different reasons, but if you kind of analyze it, you find there's a pattern in chaos. And I think that's my sort of analysis of that streaming market, or to answer your question about like, what did I predict where things are going? When I joined Ververica about 3 years ago, it was predominantly a open source company selling a bit of software. And that software, let me be honest, was disguised as a software license, but really it was often open source support. And then there was a time where I almost wanted to leave because I didn't agree to that business model. I didn't think that could scale. I didn't think that could bring us from I don't know, single-digit million amounts to double-digit million amount in a short time. And then I complained so much that somebody called me and asked if I want to be the next managing director. It's Yeah, sometimes you have to be at the right place at the right time and say the right things to maybe the right people, and even if it's uncomfortable. I think that would be my visionary approach. That just be yourself and try and predict the future. And if people don't want to listen to you, move on and otherwise stay.
So at that time when you saw the business model, what was your role? Because you said you wanted to be, or someone called you, said you want to be managing director. This was well
Sales
before
and
you
partner
were,
management.
okay, sales and partner management.
But
Then
as
you
an
moved,
individual contributor, I like not leading it because
yep.
the old CEO was leading it. So yeah.
But someone, and we don't need to name names, saw that you had the foresight into that to be like, this business model, we can make improvements here. So it kind of leads into the next question. Did you always want to be the CEO of a company? And kind of like, did you foresee this happening as that trajectory like came about, that you were like, I see a better business model here for this company?
So career-wise, to answer that first part, I would say yes, but not for just any company.
Mm-hmm.
So if I don't know, you make software for construction business, I would probably find that really boring, and I may not be that interested in, or might not have been that interested in that title. Why would like to be somebody in charge was sort of probably finishing after my studies. I've done an MBA, and I've done that one career mistake that after my MBA, I've become an intern in data warehousing. Maybe I should have gone for some management position. And that was kind of somewhere in the back of my head that whatever technological interests I have or had, I for myself didn't seem to have made the most out of it from that kind of business aspect. So when they offered it to me, of course, you start attaching some conditions, and I started my own little company, I don't know how many years ago, and I've made so many mistakes. And that's where you learn a lot. And then in one of the recent jobs working for a large German telco with, I don't know, 250,000 people, all over, managing a few guys, you also start reflecting, what did I like about that job and what did I not like about it? And what I didn't like is that I predominantly had to lay off people. And I don't like that kind of thing. I like things that can grow, things that can have a bit of a positive development, even though that it's not always simple. I mean, even when you grow phenomenally, there will be that phase where things are not that great because you don't grow double digit anymore. You just grow single digit. But that's, to me, I want to use the word entertaining too often. That's joyful and getting me out of bed. Change, transformation, taking people along. And in our case, going from open source to open core.
So one thing I heard you say in there, and you continued on with it, was you didn't want to be the CEO of just any company. And you explained a lot of things that were very exciting, or things that you would like to see in a company, like that growth phase, that you get to see this expanding. I'm assuming then you saw that in Flink and in Ververica. Do you want to go more in depth about specifically what you saw in Flink and Ververica that really said, yes, I want to be the CEO of this company. This company has those features that I would want in a company that I'm CEO of.
Yeah, I'll probably have to step back a bit. Like the guy who kind of hired me, the previous MD CEO. We used to work together in other previous companies, and we kind of knew each other personally, professionally, and I always liked that idea of Apache Flink stream processing. I thought it was like the next hot thing. And it doesn't have to be Flink. It could be anything, your real-time or near real-time data processing. And I really like the idea of, it's been around for a while. It's kind of established 2 or 3 years ago, and I'm saying kind of because we were still marketing it. I'd say over the last year, and then also thanks to some of our competitors, I'd say Flink is now fundamentally established. You don't have to explain it to a Gartner analyst anymore. I've tried that the last 2 days being at one of their summits. It's known. And now that it's known, we can take the next step. And I've seen it at that level where it's almost well established, and I thought that was pretty cool. And it would allow me to keep shaping certain things after it. And it wasn't anything that was shrinking or going to die anytime soon. So I don't know. What would be a good example? Joining Microsoft in the Windows 11 days as the closed source program manager, or whatever you want to call it. I mean, it's maybe the wrong analogy, but it had potential back then, and it still has now. And yeah, long story short is if we fail, we failed, not somebody else failed on us, and we didn't do it correctly. And to me, that's the challenge of making it happen. And then I can't blame anyone else, really. So that's what I like, because it's in my hands. It's like, I don't know, in my private world, you may think I'm a bit old-fashioned and stupid, but I like playing golf because I'm playing it against me and myself and I. If, however, I play tennis, I have at least one opponent. And then if that opponent is better than me, yeah. But I kind of like these things that have to do with me or us, or things that I can influence.
So I guess then the natural question is, if we get more into the details of what is Ververica doing as a company right now, if you had the opportunity, well, you have the opportunity here to tell our podcast viewers, what is Ververica doing right now that should make your customers extremely excited about talking to your sales team? What is that? What are some key things that you would want our viewers to know that you're working on?
So obviously, yeah, this company came about as a company named Data Artisans, where we created Apache Flink as the original creators, hence we have that tagline. The company obviously went through a couple of changes, acquisitions, and lineup changes. But what we are working on is, in essence, taking Flink to the next level for enterprise users, so that it's convenient and easy to use. Because certainly the first thing I've learned when I joined this company, Flink is complicated, it can't be easy, it has to run like this, and it has to run like that. And I've recently been asked a similar question by one of our AWS account managers, like, what kind of company you want to be? Software company, cloud company, SaaS company, PaaS company? And I just said, I want to be the streaming app company, where we have a streaming data platform or data streaming platform. It doesn't really matter how you combine those words, but the idea is that it's a data platform for streaming data that you can use like an app, as simple as whatever you have on your phone. And whether that runs in cloud or in your data center, on your oil rig, or in your soccer stadium, I don't care. I want it to be near to where your data is. And ideally, and I think that's the less technical challenge, more the human challenge, is understand what streaming data can actually achieve. So instead of looking in your rear mirror while driving forward, which is how I feel often batch data is being used, actually enable your systems that stream your data to not just generate a report, but make business decisions. And keep it simple at the beginning so that the human learns and becomes comfortable. But if you can express it in an if then that logic, why not? And then later go into artificial intelligence. I mean, you can also use it to train your artificial intelligence models, which typically got trained on batch data, and then you are kind of updating them with streaming data. But it's I don't want to use the word radical simplification because streaming is not that simple yet. But that's ideally where we want to go in the next 1 or 2 years. That still includes Flink, but it also includes taking Flink to the next level. So Flink 2.0 is something that's being planned. But there's also stuff around Flink. And to be perfectly honest, if I look at somebody like Databricks, they've mastered the assumption of becoming, or sorry, not the assumption, but they've mastered the art of people talking about them like they are Spark, open source. It's Databricks. I'm going to speak to my Databricks guy. I'm going to get the Databricksons to do this or that. It's like a household name. It's like when you are wiping your nose, you may use Kleenex instead of handkerchief or tissue, depending on which English you speak. It's that kind of thing where I'd like to be megalomaniac now and say, hey, I've Ververica this. And I know that you work for StreamNative, and maybe we StreamErica this at some stage, and we become partners and we combine things because you have some advantages in your platform and we have some in ours, and maybe we can connect it. I think that's the next step really for companies like ours to cooperate, where instead of just bashing on the technicalities of, hey, I have a new feature on the 4th level of the UI, is actually find ways of network connecting our services and making it so that companies or users generate value out of whatever money they're parting from.
So what I really hear is, for someone who doesn't know much about Spark, they may see Databricks and they may not even know what's running behind the scenes. They may just see what are the capabilities that go beyond anything that was open source.
Correct.
So you're seeing Ververica could be, there's Flink in the background. I guess the simplest abstraction is you could just go into the UI, your connections would be super simple. You could run a Flink SQL query, but at that point, it could be beyond what's available in Flink SQL queries. They could be the next level of making queries and it's so easy to make them, and you can make decisions based off of the type of responses you're getting. And that's really where you want to go.
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, you may remember Office 2013, the old UI. And I remember reading Microsoft asking their users, which features would you like to have in the next version of Office? And I vaguely remember it was 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 of those most required features were actually already in the old Office, just people didn't find it. And I have a similar feeling with some of our products where we're so technically focused on, hey, there's new checkpointing or safe pointing or whatever a feature we have, that we completely forget about things like data observability, data lineage, and show the users where they can find it. Because we just discovered recently that we have that button in our UI, it's documented, but users haven't found it because it's kind of hidden. And then if users value that one, we need to boost that up. And then we have these feature requests and product management meetings, and it's like, but it's already there. Oh, wow. We just haven't told anyone properly. And it's that insight where you, in German, we have this expression where you're such an idiot because you're focused on a single thing. It's kind of look beyond. And that's, to me, where I like that app analogy. I mean, do we really care what Apple is using on their iPhones, A16 chips, whatever? Yeah, whatever.
That's a commodity now at this point. I used to work in the hardware industry. They're obviously improving every year and a half, but it's a commodity at this point. It's why I switched to software. Software is much more interesting.
If you go to something like Gartner, it's all about S3 and simplicity and object storage. It's almost like you need to dumb it down so much that those with the money understand it more simply.
But at that point, if you're talking about S3 simplicity, that's a lot of cost savings. That's becoming commoditized then. You're talking about elevating Ververica to a new level of application, that it's not a commodity. It is value add is what you really wanted to see coming next.
Yeah, it's value add. but with being a commodity in mind. Because when we become a commodity, I'm hoping that 1 million people would be using it. That it's so convenient that it's just easy. At the moment, you need to explain which operating system, which environments, which clouds,
Yep.
and what kind of Kubernetes, and la 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 la. And maybe it's to keep us techies happy and the larger tech community. But really, over time, it should be as simple as I don't know. My kids are 5 and 8. They speak to Alexa like it's a buddy, and for them, it's normal. For my parents who are 80ish, that's a miracle. How does that machine understand you? And maybe that kind of commodity where it's just easy and simple, and yeah, we don't talk about Flink or Pulsar or Spark. We just say, I plug my data in here. I want something to be done, and it comes out there. It's just going from this open source. You need to be a technical expert. You must have done 2 PhDs at best to run this beast into it's as simple as installing an app on your phone. Yes, it's obviously kind of exaggerating, but it's from a visionary perspective, that simplicity to make it that simple.
Yep. I obviously have to bring up Pulsar and StreamNative again. Flink was built to be massively scalable, fault tolerant for stream processing. Pulsar and StreamNative is obviously a complementary technology. We have that scalability for the data that Flink needs. Seems like a natural fit. Can you provide your thoughts on using Pulsar or specifically StreamNative and Flink together as these complementary technologies?
Yeah, I mean it's something that we've honestly been looking at for a while, and I think been also talking about if there's that need in any platform, and why not? If it makes sense, sure. I'm just looking at Pulsar as a kind of highly technical, nicely polished, like an airplane engine was an image I've seen. Yeah, if there's a need for better stream processing in the StreamNative platform, I'm all for it.
I mean, obviously, our users want more convenient ways to use their data. And one of them would obviously be stream processing, where we take the ingestion and then they want that processing. And they want it local. They don't want it to have to fly across the cloud again and do all sorts of things like that. They want all of that as a nice package, would be the preference, obviously.
I guess we'll have to be realistic that the first one may not be as seamlessly integrated, and it might just be connections between clouds. But then again, cloud is just somebody else's computer, and chances are that your cloud is next to my cloud, and then we connect that pretty easily. Because we don't own a cloud, we just use Amazon and AWS, and soon we also have Azure and GCP. But that's the cloud offering. But we also have a non-cloud offering that you can frankly install on anything that has some kind of Kubernetes ability, like a Docker container. So why not plug that there if you need it?
I'm the technical trainer here at StreamNative. Is there anything I can do to help your customers kind of explore that ecosystem of sharing between StreamNative and Ververica?
I think it's a combination of technical trainers and solution architects, maybe building up something like a showcase. And then in such trainings, both on our side and your side, where we say, hey, by the way, this is the way how you do it here, but there's another way of how you can do it. And it's easy. Go to, I don't know, ververica.cloud, sign up, you get $400 credit, which is enough for one training to just happen. And also, I think from a technical trainer, there's a job description. Start looking beyond that one product and see how things can maybe link up.
Which is exactly why I'm asking this. That's in my mind, and that's kind of where I see we can help customers. I don't want to just teach them Pulsar or StreamNative. I want to teach them how do you use the product to accomplish your goal.
I mean, when I You just heard that question. I had to bite my tongue of not saying, well, then deliver training for us. Because what I meant by that, but not saying it, is, well, then maybe we do a joint training, or we find a way where, our people cover your topics and you cover our topics, and we come up with the one, how to really do data analytics best. A shared view of StreamNative and Ververica. I don't know, just as a high-level topic. So
I've already started exploring. I've got my free cloud account in Ververica's cloud. So
because in the end, it's about giving customers choice. And if I look at the competitive landscape, to be honest, I think there are one or two dominant players who are just now starting that journey, who are tweaking their platform. But there are probably often ways of doing things better, cheaper, more effectively, or even more efficiently with other tools and solutions. And instead of giving them screws, nuts, bolts, hammers, maybe we'll just give them one solution that's already pre-built, at least enough for them to get started. I think that's where things like trainings or blogs or solution architecture, high-level diagrams can definitely help those guys. And I think I said it initially, just coming back from the Gartner Summit. That's a different audience, but it's about simplicity. It's about business use cases, saving cost, etc., etc. That we need to find some common use cases there, where we can just show them how value can really be created. Instead of just talking about it, do it. And I think that's also where trainings can help, because you can get people to set things up and experience things firsthand. Doesn't have to be complicated.
That's why I love training. Yeah.
But seeing is believing. I mean, you can and I can talk the next 24 hours, but show it and make them believe. I think that's a lot more effective and efficient. From a technical training perspective, looking beyond your plate and also look around certain tools that may work better or best with things like StreamNative platform. And then we see in the back end, as two companies with adults and proper professionals working, how we can even make that more streamlined if there's such a need. And I assume there's such a need. So,
So I think we've kind of discussed quite a few topics. I'd like to hit one final topic, and that's the future. And if we take a landscape of maybe 5 years, maybe even 10 years out, if you can maybe discuss a little bit about how you see Ververica being able to evolve into that landscape that you foresee in the future. It could specifically be streaming analytics, but maybe companies do consolidate at some point and become the ability to do everything for a customer. How do you envision that Ververica would fit into that? And that could include things like AI or other technologies that do continue to become more important in the future.
I mean, I've sort of said it before, that I think that stream processing by itself in the future will have limited value. It's either what we do with the data or before, or how quickly we do it, or how conveniently we do it, or how well we manage to get streaming into maybe some kind of knob where we can tune it for how quickly do you really need it. But my vision is that it will not exist by itself in a successful way. Yeah, the technology exists, but it's like building an engine. You might be the best engine builder, but that still doesn't make it a great car. So we have to look at how we can make it so that the engine gets a home and doing other things. And whether it's the lake houses, or as we call it, the stream houses, or any of these kind of use cases, I would then say, because you mentioned AI, any of these data warehouses I've ever looked at 20 odd years ago or today feel like a data swamp, because we just throw stuff in there like hoarding and not knowing what we're going to do with it, and then we try to make the best out of it. So Maybe we'll have to use AI to clean up the data swamp. Maybe we'll have to make AI so that it becomes repeatable. And by that I mean asking any kind of AI a meaningful question twice will probably not give you the same result. Um, and maybe make AI more human capable initially until we feel that we can trust it. But it's this culmination of buzzwordbingo.net playing cards where we can put all of these unified value add la 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 topics together. I know this is a kind of cynical answer, but in the end, it's about what customers need and want.
Yeah.
And my prediction would be that customers of customers require their providers to be more real time. I do not like my bank updating my bank account only once a day. So the European Union has passed a new directive that by end of next year, I believe, all of the banks have to do money transfers in 10 seconds. I used to be with a bank that if somebody deducted money at, say, 10 a.m. in the morning, I've only seen it at 4 p.m. in the afternoon. And that actually drove me to another bank where I can see that in more real time. And my mom doesn't care, but I did care. So I'm thinking, as an example, many more companies will have to discover that certain customers will require certain offers. And if you are entering a shop and there's an advertisement on the outside and then that product is gone, maybe I don't want to go into that shop anymore. Maybe I want more dynamic marketing. Maybe I want more dynamic pricing. And then the first company who does it may win that market, and all of the old ones, established ones, are surprised, like, why are not we there? And I remember how great it was when Amazon introduced the customer who bought this also bought that feature. It seems very basic now, but when it was introduced, it was groundbreaking. And that's why I'm saying this whole streaming real-time or near real-time topic, to me, will become more and more demanded by customers of our customers.
So we just have to make sure that all of the different technologies that are required to support that use case can operate together as easily as possible so that our customer can deliver those requirements to their customers.
That, and we need the appropriate trainings, because I once learned a fool with a tool is still a fool.
Thank you for that plug for my job as well.
No, because it's often underrated, but it's